Today we're making homemade apple pie. I'm just showing you all the ingredients that you'll need for both the apples and the pie crust. First thing you're going to want to do is peel all your apples. Once all your apples are peeled, you'll start slicing them all really thin. Now I use a mix of a couple Granny Smith for some tartness and the rest Honey Crisp or Cortland. You're going to want to grab a big mixing bowl to put all the sliced apples in, that way they can be tossed. Here are all the ingredients you'll need for the sliced apples to be tossed in, just some flour, sugar, and cinnamon. I will leave all the exact measurements down below. Here we're just putting the sugar on and the cinnamon. And now, because I'm gluten and dairy free, we're putting the gluten-free flour, but you can easily substitute this with regular. Now just toss to get all your apple slices nicely coated. Once the apple slices are all coated, we're going to pop this into the refrigerator while we work on the pie crust. For the pie crust, which makes a top and bottom shell, you're going to need Crisco, white vinegar. In my case, I use almond milk, but you can substitute for regular, some salt, flour, and a mixing bowl. Don't forget to wash your hands. We will be working with the pie crust with our bare hands. Here we have the flour, white vinegar, Crisco, salt, and milk, and we're just going to begin trying to incorporate the dough. And like I said, I will leave the exact measurements and recipe down below. This is a recipe that's been used in my family for years. Just be patient because it does take some time for the dough to come together. I like to use a fork to get started and kind of press all the ingredients into each other. Here's where you'll need those clean hands. Just keep working the dough until you form a ball. You can add more milk for this recipe. It calls for 4 tablespoons if your dough is too dry. I, however, did not add more milk. Now that my dough has formed a ball, I just lightly flour my counter space and knead the dough a bit. Here's where I kind of cheat a little bit. Because gluten-free flour is so hard to work with and so hard to roll, I take my pie dish and begin pressing half of the dough for my bottom shell. And because there's so much Crisco in the pie crust, it does not stick. If you used regular white flour, at this point you'll take half your pie crust once it's formed into the ball and roll it out for your bottom shell. I just try to get it as even as I possibly can with my hands. It should look something like this once you're all done. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Now I just pulled the apple mixture that we worked on earlier out of the refrigerator. They've been in there for about 15 to 20 minutes. Pour all of your sliced apples into your bottom pie crust shell. Now you're going to want to dot with butter, or in my case, Earth Balance, because I'm dairy free. I use about 3 tablespoons. Now it's time to work on the top pie crust. I just have hubby rolling out the dough with a rolling pin on a pastry cloth. I find that if you lightly flour a pastry cloth or cheesecloth, it tends not to stick so much. Once you get your top pie crust all rolled out and placed over your apples, you're going to want to make some slits for air ventilation. Now you can easily get creative and fancy with this. I just don't, because the gluten-free pie crust is so fragile. As you can see also, I just crimped around the edges a little bit using my thumb, and our pie is ready to go in the oven. Once your pie has baked for 50 to 60 minutes or until golden brown, remove it from the oven and place it on the counter to cool. I hope you enjoyed this recipe and that you give it a try. I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for rolling with the Olsons.